because socioeconomic factors, safety of school infrastructure, psychosocial well-being, policy gaps are during migration. Looking at the whatever you're calling explanatory variables, or what I may call the independent variables, and the objectives are not synchronized, you may need to harmonize that. And so we would wish to have this addressed from the nomadic education patterns or the migration patterns. It may make some little sense because it's a phenomenon, which is what they are measuring in education in emergencies. The location of the study, I have no problem with that. The population, we need to see multiplicity of stakeholders in this. Yes, the impact may be on the school-going children, the teachers, the parents, but there are very many other players in provision of education in marginal areas. The NGOs come in handy, and the government institutions. So maybe you need to look at the population, and you have multiplicity of respondents to in this study. The research instruments, they are okay, but we need a detail of the same, who will respond to which instrument, and the kind of data which will be collected using these instruments. It's not coming out clearly, and so the method of data analysis cannot be determined. Generally, looking at the concept is something worth studying, because cattle rustling causes movement, causes displacement, and there are effects on that in the socio-economic activities of the people and the psychosocial well-being of the people. It's something which is doable, but we may need to repackage the title and the variables so that we could measure maybe the effect, but not the impact. Those are my comments. A detailed report, I will be able to send this soon. I fix my laptop, which gave me a challenge this morning, and I started doing the report. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Professor Ndiku, for those very rich comments. For our brother John Lokichar Epak. As that was going on, colleagues have joined in, and I want to take the opportunity and privilege to introduce to us Dr. Geoffrey Musera. Dr. Geoffrey Musera is a senior lecturer in the department. Area of specialization is economics of education. Allow me to also introduce our mom, Reverend Professor Judith Achoka. She joined in. Professor Achoka's area of specialization is management and policy. And allow me to also introduce our pastor, Wilberforce Jahonga. He's a PhD candidate in economics of education, should graduate this year. Pastor, can you say amen?
Amen. Oh my. Amen.
Yes. Wilberforce Jahonga is a pastor with the Redeemed Church here in Kakamega. Allow me to also introduce William Moronda, who seems to have left. William Moronda is just defended his thesis at the school level the other day. So thank you so much. Let me open this up for one or two comments from the floor for EPAC before we move on to the next. Anyone who has a comment for EPAC?
Hello, Chair.
Yes. Proceed, Chair.
Thank you. I really want to comment EPAC John. for that presentation. It is a very good area, and if he can repackage it well, he will be able to give a solution to these people who migrate, an education solution for the children who have been left behind. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So EPAC, you've had it. You get the minutes that will help you, and if the panel at the end of this session decides that you pass, then you'll be allocated supervisors who will help you through. So thank you so much. Colleagues, allow me to now go on to Duncan Aradi. Duncan Aradi is going to be MEd in policy studies, and I want to invite Dr. Wekulo to introduce the candidate to us. Dr. Wekulo.
Good morning, all. Thank you, Chair. Allow me to bring to you Duncan Aradi. Aradi, I think, joined the program around 2013. And, well, maybe he will have an explanation to why this long. But nevertheless, I want to thank you all, and more importantly, to the Almighty for making him come to this far. He'll be sharing his presentation, thesis, draft findings, and from there, I welcome you. Take the stage, Duncan.
Thank you so much, the chairman of the department, the chairman of the meeting today, my reviewer, Professor Omocha, my distinguished supervisors, Dr. Caroline Wekulo, and Dr. Paul Ogenga. Today I'm going to present to you effect of virtual physics programs.
Is it possible, sorry, Duncan, is it possible to do what Lokichar did? You go to slideshow?
Yes, that is, it will not work for me. I don't know if you are seeing what I'm
okay,
having.
We can't see slideshow, but the slides are there. Just proceed. If it doesn't work for you, then just proceed the way you are.
Yeah, so I was saying that to everybody, I want to present to you the study area effect of virtual physics programs on students' learning outcomes within public secondary schools in Kakamega South Sub-County. The way my supervisor said, I've taken some time because of unavoidable circumstances, but I'm praying that I'll go through as I'll end this program, I'll finish it this year, God willing. My study, I looked at several areas where similar studies were done, including other countries like USA, Mexico, Asian countries. This program also has been running in this country, Kenya, through the radio lesson services. And it was so much widespread or rolled out during the COVID-19 period by the Ministry of Education. And then also in progress. And also written by several researchers, including Helms 2014, was doing an online survey comparing online study, online and face-to-face, using psychology students in a university in USA, including others that you can be able to see on the screen there. But what was coming out was the researches were being done in universities. Some were done, yes, in the high school, but they were not done in the case of virtual learning in physics to see the effect of those programs. What is being done mostly, or what has been done mostly, has been adoption of the program, but the effect on the ground, what it is assisting the students on the ground, has not been researched on. Then I came up with several definitions to guide this study. One of them is achievement in academic achievement. And this means the extent to which instructional objectives are attained in physics. And then I looked at another definition in my topic, the attitude, the extent to which a learner likes the subject. And then motivation, extent to which a learner is interested in physics now and future. This definition, learning outcome, is the one breaking the first three definitions. That is academic achievement, attitude, and motivation in physics. And then another definition is virtual learning programs, which in this case include, amongst education TV, the radio programs, and other virtual learning materials. What also made me to come to these studies, because the ministry is really investing so much to come up with these programs. And then these programs are being used widely also in this area of Kakamega South sub-county. And then also the outcome or the effect is unknown, it is not clear. And then there is limited research, especially in virtual programs in secondary schools. Most of the researches are being done in universities. The research was guided by three objectives: to determine the effect of virtual physics programs on students' achievement in the subject within public secondary schools. Number two was to establish the effect of virtual physics programs on students' attitude towards the subject in public secondary schools. And then number three, to examine the effect of virtual programs on students' motivation in the subject within public secondary schools. These three objectives led to development of the three hypotheses. Then this research is being guided by a theory, and that theory is distance learning theory. And in this case, it is being guided by transaction distance theory by Michael Moore. And this theory has three parts: the dialogue, course, and the learner's autonomy. And as I was going on with the research, I was able to find that if there is a longer distance, transactional distance between the learner, there'll be an effect on his performance. So these virtual programs are coming in to bridge the gap between the learner and the education programs. And the education programs are assisting the learner to learn. But at a certain extent, you get that the virtual programs are not there. If they are not there, now the distance, transactional distance, will increase and the learner will be affected negatively. My independent variable in this research was mode of learning, which in this case was the virtual physics programs environment or virtual physics programs, face-to-face learning. So I had virtual physics programs and face-to-face learning, that is the independent variable. And then the dependent variable is the outcome, which is broken into achievement, attitude, and motivation in physics. How is the mode of learning affecting the learning outcome in comparison of a virtual physics program face-to-face? In my research, I collected quantitative data, and I used the quasi-experimental research design in this data. During the study, I used randomized pre-test and post-test. In pre-test here, I mean that I was able to do some research on two groups, the virtual and the face-to-face learning. So that in this case, the pre-test was used to establish the entry behavior for internal validity, and then post-test to compare two groups to determine if there is effect of intervention. Intervention here means there is the traditional face-to-face, the intervention is the virtual programs. The treatment group comprised of schools that had adopted virtual physics programs, while the control group was the group that was using purely face-to-face learning. So my study was dealing with two groups. Before proceeding to the field, I was to consider some ethical consideration, whereby I was to get some documents, including approval from SGS, then research permit from NACOSTI, and also on the ground assuring the participants of high level of confidentiality. The study location was public secondary schools in Kakamega South Sub-County, targeting a population of 4,000 Form 2 students, and using the Craig C. Morgan formula, from that population of 4,000, I was able to pick a sample of 351 using sampling, a technique of multi-stage sampling, and then simple random sampling used for specific schools to be used in the study. In this case, in Kakamega South, we have mixed schools. We have purely boys schools and girls schools, whereby I used 4 for the mixed, 2 for girls, and 2 for boys. In this study, I was able to use or utilize primary source of data from students in the control and experimental groups using 3 research instruments. And the first one was physics achievement test, whereby I was able to develop a test, an exam, carrying content of Form 1 and Form 2 work that I was able to administer to these students. And then an attitude questionnaire for the second objective, and for the third objective, a motivational questionnaire. Some of my preliminary findings that I got to test my hypothesis with respect to the objectives was follows. For objective 1, which is talking about effect of virtual physics programs in relation to achievement. Here I collected the data using the physics achievement test for both pre-test and post-test. I was to do I did the experiment twice, for pre-test and then after intervention, post-test. And then one way ANOVA was carried out for inferential statistics. And I was able to get, for pre-test, there was no significant effect in performance between the groups and within and the p-value was greater than the significant alpha value of 0.05. Then after the post-test, there was significant difference, especially in the group that received the intervention, the experimental group. And the p-value was less than the alpha value of 0.05. That is for the experimental group. That is comparing the experimental group, and that is at post-test and the pre-test. Then, if you compare now the performance for, that is the comparison between the performance of now the control group, the face-to-face, the one that did not receive the intervention, there was no significant difference in the performance. But now, when I went ahead to compare the difference between the control group and the experimental group, the difference was so large in that the experimental group, the virtual learning group, had higher scores as compared to the face-to-face group. And I attributed this difference because of this intervention of virtual learning. For the second objective, data was collected using student attitude questionnaire, both for pre-tests and post-test, and also one ANOVA performed, one way ANOVA performed for inferential statistics. For pre-test, within the groups, there was no significant difference in performance, and in the attitude, I mean, and the p-value was greater than alpha value of 0.05. And then performing the post-test, there was significant difference such that the alpha value was less than, the p-value was less than the alpha value. That is, p-value was less than 0.01, less than alpha value of 0.05. So it means that also at that point, because of the intervention, control group performed lowly as compared to the experimental group. Experimental group had higher scores. Comparing within the groups. Then comparing between the groups, there was very large significant difference in the attitude scores. So it means that the intervention that came in, the virtual learning, brought this difference in the treatment group. And then from active, talking about effect of virtual physics programs on motivation of students. Data was collected using the students' motivation questionnaire, both for the pre-test and post-test. Then also one way analysis of variance performed. During the pre-test, there was no significant difference between the groups and also within the groups. But after the intervention, that is for post-test, there was significant difference, and the significant difference was able to be seen so large, especially if you compare the motivation of students who have been given that treatment as compared to those who are not given, giving the p-value to be less than 0.01, which is less than the significant alpha value of 0.05. And I attributed this difference to the treatment that the experimental group was able to get. In discussion and interpretation of my findings, I can say that blending virtual physics programs with the face-to-face had a significant effect on students' achievement as compared to face-to-face only. Treatment group achieved higher test score. The score was the same for pre-test score. And p-value is less than alpha value of 0.05. And these findings are similar to what Smith got in New Zealand using the experimental design. But in this case, he used the same teacher for the study. For my case, I'm using different teachers. Every school has its teacher. And then also the findings are very much similar also with Paul Jefferson 2019, but he did his study students, university students. And then number 2, experimental group had significant high attitude mean in post-test than controller. For pre-test, the difference was insignificant. And these findings are similar also to U 2013.
Did we lose Duncan?
Yes, we lost him.
That's unfortunate. Looking from his slides, he was close to clearing this up. So perhaps I'll ask his supervisor, Dr. Wekulo, to link up with him and have him complete. He has actually disappeared. Now his presentation is also off. I think that we will most probably, it's logical not to wait. We might have to proceed into the next presentation so that when Aradi is done, he can then come in after that, mount up his presentation and finish the slides, and then we can have his reviewer taking up. I think that's the most logical thing. Allow me to introduce new members that have joined us in here now. I see Victor Tsango. Victor Tsango, do you want to introduce yourself? Victor? I don't have a lot of information about Victor, so I don't know who he is. That's why I'm asking that he needs to introduce himself. But apparently he's muted. Maybe he can do that later. So, colleagues, now that something has happened to Aradi and is unable to continue, I want to request, with your indulgence, that we move to the third presentation, which is a thesis, an MEd thesis by Cyrus Muhanga. And I want to invite Dr. Zilpa Kageha, who is the supervisor, together with Dr. Buhere, to introduce the candidate and usher him in. Dr. Zilpa.
Okay, thank you, Chair. And I beg to correct you, we are supervising together with Professor Wamocha.
Okay. Sorry, I take back that Dr. Buhere attribution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I had to correct because she's with us in Rwanda now. What is it? But I want Now, I want to thank you, Chair, for scheduling this presentation. Cyrus Muhanga was ready towards the end of last semester, but he just missed an opportunity to present his work. This far, he's been very hardworking. He has done a lot. And I believe what he's going to present is what we've been going through, so that he may continue to another step further, so that within this year, he should be clearing his studies. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you, Cyrus. Take the lead and please, congrats for the good work. Carry on.
Fine, thank you, Doc. Let me just mount again.
And as Cyrus comes up, I wish to correct myself as well. Cyrus, please mount up your presentation. Do your presentation. Put up your presentation.
I've just mounted up. Hope you'll be able to see.
Oh, it's not visible on this side. On my side, no, on my side, it's not visible.
Hello, can you be? Is it visible, Doc?
No, it's not on my side.
Sorry, let me stop and share again.
Yes, begin again. So I was saying I needed to correct myself. I had indicated that we had two graduates last year, and Professor Wamocha reminded me that we also had Mwanyumba Tweni. Mwanyumba Tweni graduated with a PhD in policy. He's a chief principal at Sigalame High School. So we had three, I guess. Yeah, three, unless my mind again will need to be jogged up. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Mwanyumba was supervised by Professor Wamocha and I think Dr. Buhere. Cyrus, please.
I'm trying to mind. Sorry. Oh, yeah. It's not. No, it's not doing that. The screen. Yeah, there it comes. Sorry. Yeah, there it comes.
Cyrus, not yet. And apparently he has left or something.